This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission for July 7th, 2025. My name is Vern Carlson, and I'm the chairman of the commission. Tonight we have sort of a short agenda. We have some important things to discuss. We have some big changes, actually. We have Laura Margarassi, who is our zoning enforcement officer. She's sitting in, taking the place from Alan Fredrickson, who has recently retired. So he is out, and Laura is in at the moment. And since I said that, that's Andy Bevilacqua, is our town engineer on the end, and on my extreme left is Catania. She's our court reporter. Next to him is Christine Hilton. She is our staff secretary. With that, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. Carrie Maddy, I'm an alternate.
Ken Quick, I'm a regular member.
Ron Williams, regular member.
Brian Cummings, secretary.
Mark Parisi, alternate.
John Carlo Gallo, alternate.
Okay, this is a new member. He's coming in tonight. This is his first night here. He's an alternate. He's sitting in, filling a spot in for
John Troiano.
Yeah, John Troiano, who's left the board, and he's taking up his time. So with that being said, Laura, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Good evening, everyone. So you all should have received an amended agenda with the packet last week on Thursday. There is one minor change from that, which is we added a P&Z number to the 824 referral regarding the 23 Maiden Lane agreement.
Okay, so we just have that added, which doesn't mean anything to anybody here for that. With that, we can, I guess we can get started at the moment. Brian, you want to, well, we'll call in this, Jennifer is not here. Okay, we'll start with the site plan first. A site plan of P25-15. Brian, would you please read that in?
Okay, this is a site plan, it's P2515, and it's a site plan application of Universal Drive EV Charging 1 LLC, applicant North Haven Property LLC, owner relative to 70 Universal Drive, map 11, lot 2, plan entitled EV Charging Station, 70 Universal Drive, North Haven, Connecticut 06473, prepared by Colliers Engineering and Design, dated 5/1/25, scale 1 inch equals 20 feet, IL 30 zoning district. Do you want me to read the CAM too?
Read the CAM in, please. Yeah, we're gonna take the CAM at the same time.
Okay, the CAM number is P2515A. CAM application of Universal Drive EV Charging 1 LLC. Applicant North Haven Property LLC, owner relative to 70 Universal Drive, map 11, lot 2, plan entitled EV Charging Station, 70 Universal Drive, North Haven, Connecticut 06473, prepared by Colliers Engineering and Design, dated 5/1/25, scale 1 inch equals 20 feet, IL 30 zoning district.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian. Is there someone here to represent this, this application? Want to step forward? The table? No, you don't have to
No,
hold
we're
it.
just
You have to
recording
hold
the
it.
night
You have to
application.
hold it, Catania? Okay, good enough.
My name is Stephanie Mulhern, a professional engineer. I work for Colliers Engineering and Design, representing Relief Energy for this application at 70 Universal Drive. The tax parcel associated with this project is tax parcel 134480, lot 2 from map 11. It's a 6.09 acre parcel that's zoned in the light industrial zoning district. The property currently has Universal Drive to the east and Route 91 further to the east, and then a railroad line to the west. The property currently exists with a Raymore and Flanagan furniture store and Longhorn Steakhouse restaurant. What New Leaf Energy is proposing to do is install 5 dual port EV charging stations on the north side of the property, providing 10 EV charging spaces. The site currently has 245 parking spaces, and this proposal will reduce the number of parking spaces by 10, bringing it down to 235. As part of the application, we also are proposing some trash cans, some smart poles, and also, after reading the review letter that was prepared by Alan Frederickson, we are agreeable to proposing additional shade trees per his request as well.
So, any approvals that you might get tonight would be subject to town engineer and land use administrator's concerns.
Yes.
You understand that? Okay. Okay. Well, in any event, this is gonna take, how many parking places did you say?
It'll reduce the number of parking spaces by 10, and it will, in the end, we will have 10 parking spaces, EV parking spaces.
Okay. The, kinda stuck way back in the northwest corner.
Correct,
actually.
yes.
Yeah, the, pretty much straightforward there. Is, you gotta bring the wiring for that, or is that, you do have to?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So my name is Jonathan Salzman, Director of Engineering at New Leaf Energy. We've been working with UI on this project for almost a year. They had to do a load study in the area. They ended up having significant power, and they ordered the transformer. That makes most sense for where the riser pole is in the cleanest section. Also, we've been working with Raymore Flanagan, and they want to make sure that there was still great access for their store and for Longhorse. They kind of asked us to be near the entrance. Also works better for people coming in and out. But yeah, the reason we chose that area mostly was for the medium voltage run.
Yeah, so you'll be coming straight in from the road to bring the wiring in from that, or how will that come?
Yes, so the first riser, if you were entering the property, there is a pole to the left of the entrance. That is the riser pole. They're going to turn that into a riser pole, and then we're going to underground from there through the garden area across the roadway, and we put the transformer in the back. That'd be the northwest corner in the grass. That's where they want to put it.
Okay. Okay, very good, thank you so much. Brian, you got any question?
Just something I tend to ask every now and then, Jonathan. You've got a solar option, I mean, canopies and everything. Why not solar instead of using is it, you just don't get enough juice from the solar to do that?
Sure, yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah.
My whole background is renewables.
Yeah.
I'm a power engineer. The amount, even if we put a canopy there, the amount you would get is so small, and the cost and the studies that the utilities make you go through to install the solar, it just doesn't pencil. It's not even close. So these are newest high-end fast chargers. They're 400 kW each. They'll charge a car in 15 minutes from empty. They're really fast.
Nice.
600 amps? Is that-
600 amps on the 480 volt side. They charge from 1,000 volts DC down to 200 volts DC, depending on what your battery tech in your car is. So we're putting in like the fastest, most convenient for people on and off the road, and just the power is not there with the solar.
Okay.
Maybe someday in the future, if solar continues to get cheaper and we can get more power in the panels, but it wasn't worth it inconvenience with the utility for right now.
Okay, thank you.
You good?
I'm good.
Let me ask you this, as far as the charging goes, you're saying 15 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this
400
is
volts.
considerably faster than the one that's over on the other side by Wendy's.
The EV Go,
Yes,
I've charged there before, yes.
yes, you know, that's
It's about 4 times faster.
4 times faster.
But you have to remember, each one can be split. So theoretically, if 2 cars pull up, you take the 400, you make it 200, 200. But they're smart. So if you're almost done and you're pulling like 50 kW, the other one will get the additional of the 400. So it's not, as soon as someone pulls up, it's instantly cut in half. It goes in segments of 50. But they're super fast, yeah. And we believe that it's kind of like a little bit of the chicken and the egg. You have to get the chargers for people to feel confident to go buy the cars, but we know utilization won't be that high for a while, but we know they need to be there for people to feel comfortable. And you need them to be fast for people to feel like it's not such a burden. So that's why we've been putting in these high-speed ones.
Very nice. Right?
What's a smart pole? Pardon my ignorance, I don't know.
No problem. It's a LED light pole that gives some safety, lighting around the area, but then the rest of it tells the driver when you're pulling up which ones are available, and it also shows like a little indicator light how much charge is in the person who's charging. So if you pulled up and they were all full, you could see who's next, kind of like at a grocery store and you see the lights, like which checkout register will be available next. It'll show you the state of charge as the cars go up.
Cool. Wow. The other question I had, this is your coastal application's really nice and like well done. Whoever did that, it's got a lot of good detail. There's a mention in there about this subject property being in the coastal hazard area due to hurricane evacuation zones and surge inundation. These devices wouldn't create like any sort of hazard if grounds were inundated, right?
There's no batteries or anything in them. No, they're just power electronics. It's the same as any other electronic device. But this isn't in a flood zone anyway, from what I understand, right? Stephanie?
No, it's in the coastal area management, so.
Okay.
Oh, so okay, never mind. I misunderstood that. Like that would be okay. Never mind. Cool.
I had the same question as electrical engineer. I was like, do we need to raise these? We're on, and she's like, we're not in a flood zone, so
Okay.
I stopped on that because we're doing some in New York City and we're looking, and there are flood zones. We raised them up, to make sure we wouldn't be in that. But there's no batteries or anything that would affect anything.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie?
You did mention that you're amenable to putting trees in. Do you have an
Yes,
idea
I-
where you want to put them? Or?
So I believe that Alan implied that we would be proposing them in the islands in the top north and south of the EV charging area, and then also one maybe by the proposed gear.
To replace the one that's coming out, possibly coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
okay.
total of 3 proposed. That's how I interpreted his letter.
The regulations call for a 2-inch caliber tree at the end of all parking rows.
Okay.
So that's where he's coming from in terms of that.
So
So
would
you- I
it
think-
would
yeah, I think
just
you're
be
right.
these 2 islands?
No, the other one on the other end too, because there's parking on that top row, up on the very top, yeah. There's
Okay,
parking
so
that runs
3.
along that, so at the end of that parking row, there's
Got
gotta
it.
be a tree.
So 1, 2, and then a 3rd.
Right.
Okay. Yes, we can do that.
We were gonna screen around the equipment pad area anyway. I would, as an electrical engineer, prefer not to have a shade tree because I'm worried about with the underground conduits there. Could we do like a lower, like a more of a shrub arborvitae style around that?
The regulation calls for a 2-inch caliber tree,
Okay.
period, that's all it says. So, I mean, you're free to pick the tree, but
Okay.
that's what it's gotta be. So it
Okay.
can't be a shrub or anything like that, it's gotta be an actual tree.
Okay, so let's talk to the
Landscape.
landscape architect. I just wanna make sure we don't go something that's so deep. that
Oh,
it
yeah,
uproots
absolutely,
anything. Yep.
absolutely.
You good with that?
Yep.
Okay, good enough. Gary?
Yep.
That's it? Kim?
I have no questions.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing I would really ask, is there any protective structures in front of it, like raised structures, just in case someone decides to not put the car in park? I know it's a smart car, but 600 amp service, sometimes somebody knocks over
Oh, the charger
the
itself?
charger itself.
Yeah, they're wrapped in bollards. They come with them. They're like small and they kind of blend with the thing, but yeah, they're bollarded all around.
Yeah, I just say 600 amp services, the wires exposed could be kind of bigger, so I just wonder if there's some kind of safety feature around
Yes,
it.
there is, of course. Yeah.
And the gear as well will have bollards around it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's the only question I'm gonna ask.
That it? You good?
Vern,
You good?
I do have one more question.
Sir? Is that enough?
That was it, yeah.
Okay.
Vern, I have
Hang on.
Vern,
have
she's
one more
got
question.
question.
Just about the trash cans, because they're centered right in that walkway. How much distance is between like the curb and the trash can?
I do not know off the top of my head here, but I don't believe that they will be secured in the pavement. So and they're probably about 3 feet from the back of the curb to the front of the trash can.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd say it's more than 3. We can think that's at least 5 because that spot's 18 feet deep roughly. It's probably more like
Yeah.
6 to 7 feet from
Okay.
edge is what I had to guess.
Okay.
Just being as parking spots are only 18, and we took that for the waiting area in the trash. Yeah.
Okay.
Get it? Good? Okay.
I'm good, yep.
Good. Good. Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Good to go.
Commission deliberates at the end.
No Jennifer yet. Well,
I thought I saw her walk in.
She's here. Yeah,
She's here.
oh, she's here? Oh, Jennifer,
Done.
wanna come up front? Now, Jennifer, I'm gonna read this in before, Brian, will you read this to this 824?
Sure, let me do that. This is an 824 referral per Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-24. Referral from the Board of Selectmen to the Planning and Zoning Commission of amendments to the agreement, including easements recorded at volume 500, page 319 of North Haven Land Records, conveying cross-parking easement rights for the real property at 23 Maiden Lane related to the potential development of said property.
Okay. Go ahead, Jennifer.
So you may recall, good evening, everybody, nice to see everybody, it's been a bit. So you'll recall that you had a special permit and a site plan application for 23 Maiden Lane that was withdrawn. That was due to Mr. Frederickson finding an easement on this agreement, including easements on the land records. I'm gonna just have the applicant's counsel, Mr. Porto, address you with regard to refresh your recollection, because I'm sure you received copies of that application, but to refresh your recollection as to what that application consisted of, and then I'm gonna make some additional comments. So why don't
Wonderful,
you
thank
go
you,
ahead.
thank you,
Thanks.
thank you. So, good evening, everybody, my name is Joe Porto, I practice law with Perrette Porto, and yes, we represent Maiden Lane Associates, and yes, we filed a special permit and site plan application, and yes, we did withdraw. So, the application was filed for the purpose of converting 23 Maiden Lane, which is a 3-story building, into age-restricted apartment residential living on floors 2 and 3, and for retail on, well, what's in really the basement, or floor 1. And we were in the process of bringing that application to this commission when we were asked to go visit with the Board of Selectmen with regard to a minor amendment to the easement. And the reason for that is that Mr. Frederickson thought that it would be a good idea that the people, the 16 age-restricted residents, would have dedicated parking spaces hauled out around the parking for 23 Maiden Lane. And to do that would require a very modest and minor amendment to the easement. But it would in no way affect the parking requirements for the property known as 23 Maiden Lane, nor adversely impact the surrounding properties owned by the town of North Haven. So the backstory is there's shared easements between these parking, what do you call them, parking areas.
So there's shared parking there now. It's not gonna be there anymore.
No, it will be.
No, I don't think so. Have I got it wrong?
That's not the case, Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
okay.
It will remain. The idea is to just designate 16 of the parking spaces in a specific area, and I believe it's parcel 1
Yeah.
and
Okay.
on the old map, to designate 16 spaces that are near the building, near the units, because these are gonna be elderly housing units. And so those will be solely for those elderly residents. But in terms of the remainder of the cross-parking agreement, that all is gonna remain in effect. And so the obligations as far as maintenance, as far as insurance and so on, will all remain. Okay, and the reason why we're coming to you now is because, as is always recommended by your council, when there's a circumstance when an easement is necessary or an amendment to an easement is necessary for an application, we always want the applicant coming in with that proposed agreement of that affected neighboring property owner. Okay, so when the agreement was found, it was necessary for us to go to the Board of Selectmen, which we did for their June meeting. We had a conversation with them about what this would be, and to really to flush out any particular concerns about the use of the spaces that are encompassed in the cross-parking agreement. So that, you know, if we needed to address any concerns in any way as far as the amendments, we will go back to them with, or, you know, anything of concern too, you know, certainly during the application process as well, because, you know, we're gonna go back, because this is coming to you on for a referral report under Connecticut General Statute, Section 824. We'll be going back to the Board of Selectmen to get their agreement on the actual document language. But obviously, if they don't obtain approvals from the commission, or, you know, if there's anything that arises during the course of the application process where we think we need to change any of the language, then, you know, that will be taken care of, because the actual execution of the amendment to the agreement will not occur unless approvals are obtained. And, you know, I sign off on, and staff signs off on everything being in order as far as, again, you know, any conditions that you may have and so on and so forth. But what, you know, what we're envisioning at this point is simply a simple change to no designation of, again, these 16 spaces with, you know, appropriate demarcation, so that they are restricted for use for only those residents. Again, and this is because it is an elderly housing, you know, we don't want people to have to go out and then, you know, have to be walking a distance and so on and so forth from the units. So we want to be able to offer that accommodation. And the Board of Selectmen, I could represent to you, as I think Attorney Porter can as well, was, you know, had no issue in terms of referring this to you. They understood what the point of it was, and because the number of parking spaces, and you'll revisit this again at the time of the application, but it's more than sufficient under your regulations for what's going to be the proposed mixed use of retail and housing. You know, they understood all that and said that we could move on to you. Okay?
How many-
This is a little unusual, but remember that you would again, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you would again, if this was just any neighboring property owner, you'd have the expectation on the applicant that they would have spoken to that neighboring property owner about the needed easement to accomplish the use. And so we're just doing, you know, it's the town in this instance, and we're just doing as we would normally, you know, with a private property owner or so forth.
How many parking places are there total on that site alone for the building?
For the building itself,
Yes,
I believe it's 33.
33.
Correct.
Out of the 33, you're proposing to give how many to the parking, to the people that are gonna live there?
Perhaps I misunderstood your question.
Okay,
There is 23 Maiden Lane in the property that building sits on, that is owned by Maiden Lane Associates. That's the space we're talking about right now. There's 33 spaces there, I believe. You may have a site plan in front of you. I didn't bring one because we're not doing a
okay.
site plan application.
I understand that, but I was just trying to figure out
Yeah.
how many is there that you're actually gonna leave for the apartments? Is it 16 or 12?
Right, so. Perhaps looking at it slightly differently would be helpful.
Okay.
If we were to consider all of the parking places that exist between the spaces on 23 Maiden Lane and the spaces owned by the town immediately contiguous, there's 90. 90 parking spaces, okay? And what the easement says is, the people at Maiden Lane can park on the town property during business hours, okay? And then people from the town can park on Maiden Lane property weekends and after business hours. That's staying exactly the same. The only thing that's changing is we're taking 16 of the spaces on the 23 Maiden Lane property that are closest to 23 Maiden Lane, the building, and calling those out as parking for residents only.
Okay, then you answered my question in respect to this. Very good. Jennifer, do you have anything to add before I get to the commission?
I really don't, I mean, one of the things we did, I guess I do, cause I am gonna comment. One of the things that we talked about with the Board of Selectmen were the soccer games, because that's, that's when those parking spaces really fill up. But, it is a limit, it's a limited season. There is other available parking,
There certainly is,
nearby.
yeah.
So, people can make use of. So, again, I think that that's something potentially to consider, because we talked a little bit about, potentially, do we need some sort of traffic calming on Broadway, just generally. So, that was one other thing that we did discuss. And, we'll get comments, obviously, on their applications from the police department. And, if that's something that you want me to pursue further with them, if you do have any concern about that, I can certainly do that and then make recommendations based upon what other towns have.
Sure. Joe, how many apartments is he gonna convert that building into? 16?
Correct.
So you're allowing one parking place per apartment?
That is what our regulations call out for
Okay.
elderly housing, that is correct.
So Jennifer, pretty much at the time of an application, we're gonna see all the signage
Yes,
and all of that.
yes. I
She's
didn't need to
gonna
answer for-
tell the people where to park, and please don't park here, just because I went out and got coffee on a Saturday morning, things like that.
Right,
Okay.
that's the issue.
That's
You're
where we're getting at.
That's exactly
Okay,
right.
okay.
It is exactly right.
Any questions?
I do, but I don't wanna go first. I have to look something
Okay.
up first.
I guess
Ken?
some of my questions, so regarding the retail use, so you had mentioned it's in the basement or?
First
that
floor,
First
yeah.
floor. So in terms of, with these dedicated spots, it seems like retail doesn't really match up. People are going to be using these spots. I can't imagine them not being used on a regular basis by someone in retail. Does the retail, can you elaborate on the retail use that's part of this? That's,
So the answer is both yes and no. So right now, when we come back before you with our special permit and site plan, we're gonna give you more information than you're gonna wanna hear.
no.
But we're not ready to do it tonight.
Okay,
Tonight is just an analysis of whether or not this minor amendment to the easement is going to upset or upend the required parking for this parcel. And I think you can safely find with 90 spaces with cross parking easements that it does not.
So we're only talking about the parking right now.
That's it,
we're not-
that's it. We're not talking about the application.
I don't-
And I have
Yeah, we're
and I
talking
have
about the park.
another,
That's,
they're hard to separate
Quite
though.
enough.
We've already seen an application, just because it's withdrawn, there's a solid intention that's already been presented here. And, there's concerns in that application in itself. We don't need to get into that, but it definitely seems this is going to be really hard to manage with a retail use within this housing. I don't see how it's possible not to.
So I think that's sort of an interesting comment. So one thing I'll say, and because, I have been counsel to other municipalities on a number of mixed-use projects. And there are sometimes, discussions that do focus on, of course, how much parking is ultimately needed. And, so much of that centers around the type of retail use too. Because, and I know that sounds a little bit weird, but remember, one of your common questions is, of course, how many employees are you gonna have? And obviously that differs from business to business, so that requirement of use of a space by an employee factors in, of course. And there does actually tend to be a difference. I mean, some retail establishments have 6 employees, some have 1, so I think there's still a lot to be learned. And I always say to you guys too, I always encourage you that if you have particular concerns and you want to have a conversation with the applicant to talk about use, and you'd like to see a particular use or group of uses or so on and so forth, and that's even true of retail. If you have some idea in your mind that you would like to see it, because I don't know if they have a particular tenant in mind, I have no idea.
Not yet.
But if you'd like to see a particular type of use, because let's consider the location of it, of course, right? That you have that conversation and see if you can get some particular agreement on, if parking really is a concern, and it may be even, again, despite what appears to be a very large amount of nearby available spaces, that you can have a conversation about the sort of use types that, and see if you can reach some agreement on that. I just offer that, not to send you down a path, but it's just something to consider, because it does happen. And that's perfectly acceptable.
And I can appreciate that, designated spots definitely seems a little trickier, right? We've all parked in the wrong spot or made those type of things. And if we were talking a younger group who's really more than able to walk a further distance, someone who may need, special assistance for walking a distance or something like that, it seems a really complicated situation. I don't see a way forward fully, but I'd love to hear more about what you're talking about.
Okay, good, Ken.
Yeah, I'd like to
Go ahead,
piggyback on that a little bit.
Yeah,
With
go
the
ahead.
accessible spaces. And forgive me, I don't know, but are those 3 spaces designated for the 28 tenant parking spaces, or does that account for all the 90? Because if we're gonna have retail in there, you're gonna need something for retail.
Right.
If you're gonna be designating spaces to residents.
I think we're about to say the same thing, so.
That is a building
Yeah.
code, that is, when they come in, with their final application again, and I don't know if this analysis was done, because I've not been sort of part of the discussions and so forth, but it is the building official that determines the number of accessible spaces that are required. So they will have to comply, with whatever the code requires.
Okay. I guess I'm wondering where you're thinking those designated spaces will be.
And we will have a revised plan that will show that
Yep.
when we come back. Absolutely. Yep, for sure.
You good, Jerry? Good? Okay. Mark?
Good.
I'm good.
Brian? Good. You're good? Rod?
I'm good.
You're good. Okay, at the moment, it looks like the board is satisfied.
Yeah,
With
can I
exception
just
of
ask Jen-
Andy,
Yeah.
we
Oh, boy.
get to staff.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm satisfied.
I mean, obviously, a lot of what we talked about here is completely irrelevant to what you're here for today. You're here for the agreement and a modification to the agreement. Is there a reason why we don't have the text of the actual modification to the agreement that we could talk about? Because you're gonna ask this commission to send a positive referral over to the Board of Selectmen on something that they don't have in print, right?
So again,
That's a great question.
The only thing that the text will provide as far as the amendment is concerned, and I do have a draft, but the only thing that it provides is for the designation of the 16 spaces to be solely used by the residents.
Yep, understood.
So in terms of what it sets forth as far as initial recitals, is it identifies the prior agreement, it goes through the particulars, because it accounts for commission application submission, commission application approval, the site plan to be attached as an exhibit, the easement map to be attached as an exhibit, the prior map to be attached, in fact, as Exhibit A, because that actually has a parcel designation, and you should have seen that from the easement agreement. But in terms of what it sets forth, that's all it sets forth.
Okay.
So it is a very straightforward.
Approximately 25 minutes. All computers, Wi-Fi, and printers will automatically shut down in 10 minutes. All purchases for the bookstore and cafe, as well as library card applications, and any game, summer reading game redemptions must be completed by 7:45.
So, I mean, obviously this went in front of the select board. You gave the same presentation to the select board as you're giving here. They were comfortable, I guess, with the arrangement. So as long as the commission's comfortable with acting on something that they don't have concrete, I guess there's no issues, really.
So I guess the other thing about that is, as I indicated to you, it will not be finalized until they have the approvals.
Right.
So if there's something, I mean, we could submit a draft with the application.
Sure.
If there are conditions of approval, you know, with regard, and I can't really envision this, because the way that I drafted it is that the easement map itself has to have any related conditions as far as the parking spaces are included, because I really encourage you, I don't know if you're doing this now, but I do encourage, because, you know, we've experienced in other towns, letters of decisions go missing, you know, approval letters go missing, and sometimes if the actual letter of decision or conditions of approval are not incorporated into the approved map or plan, that could become an issue. So I've got language in there with regard to that. Certainly, I think when you submit the application, you could give them a draft of the easement agreement.
Certainly.
You know, that's something too, if this were a non-municipal entity, it would go to the town engineer, depending on what kind of easement it was, and the town attorney. You typically, for substance, the town attorney more for form, right, approval before it's recorded, so that's the process, just so that you know too. But I think you just submit it with your application. Okay.
Certainly.
I guess the other thing regarding the number of units that are in place too, without seeing what that's gonna be firmly, you know, there's a wide variety of sizes within the plan that we have seen. And, you know, as 16 may be what's in place now, you know, some of them are down to 750 square foot units, right? That a change in plan could really increase the number of, you know, units that are available. And since 2 spots are already near the 700 square foot mark, you know, if all of a sudden those were changed, that makes the 16 spots that you're allocating, you know, not enough, right? We'd be starting off with incorrect numbers right from the beginning. So I'd love to see, you know, what this plan is going to be, because the numbers we're talking about are dependent upon the plan. So as they're linked together, and I know we're trying to just deal with this little segment first, really it's part of an entire plan that's together. So I don't know why we shouldn't be seeing this full picture.
So, in terms of the plan itself, is there anything that is gonna change from what they've seen?
No,
There's that
no,
intention.
no. I thought the suggestion was during the application process, if there's comments by the commission that ultimately steers the development in a slightly different direction, that could impact the number of parking spaces, and I completely agree with that. And I
Yeah.
understand exactly what you're saying, wholeheartedly, truly.
Yeah.
And without trying to, you know, kind of make excuses or back up on it, we will have that conversation. But for tonight, I think what we need to do is be able to report back to the Board of Selectmen that your commission looked at this, considered this, realized that it's not going to leave either parking area short of spaces necessary to comply with the regulations as they currently exist, not for a particular use, not for our particular application, just as they exist. And as long as that's the case, then you guys can give that a positive referral. Selectmen can decide if they want to endorse it, right? And then we come back to you guys with the actual plan. And then that's where we're gonna have to make both ends meet. And to the extent that we don't need, or we need more than 16 spaces, then I think that easement would have to change. But the concept remains entirely the same.
So again, there's gonna be no execution of this easement before commission approvals. So that's not happening. This is to just get, again, buy-in from, really ultimately the Board of Selectmen on the concept of restricting the use of a number of spaces for the housing piece.
I just have to say, this feels a little abstract, and so if I see a plan, I might have more to say about it. Right now, I just kind of have to see it, but fine for that. You know.
Jennifer, well, if the bare minimum is what you're doing, is the bare minimum for the apartment. I'm not sure that's good for the builder, the developer. I'm not sure that's good for him, and I'm not sure it's good for the town. But in any event, too short. Brian, what are you thinking?
Oh, I'm all set, Ron. Thanks.
I've got no comments.
Any?
Yeah, I'm good.
Laura?
No, I'm good.
Anybody on this side?
Nope.
Okay. Good enough, Jennifer. Thank you very much. Joe?
Thank you all. Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay. I'm just gonna move on to the, what the heck are we now? We have the other appointments. Okay, we'll do that. We'll appoint, Andy will appoint you in deliberation. I need to appoint you to back up Laura. Okay, we'll do that in deliberation?
Yep.
Okay. Universal Drive. Now we down to change of use. We got some change of use, and we got some bonds, Andy. Got these bonds, 600 Universal Drive?
You wanna go over the bond at this point? Sure.
Yeah, well, we'll take it in order here. We only got a couple.
So the bond is for Panera.
Panera?
Yep, Panera Bread. They completed their construction. We went out and inspected everything. Everything looks to check out fine. There's a few things on their as-built, which I'd like to see them add. And I've already contacted them and provided them a markup on the as-built. I mean, they're fully compliant with the zoning requirements, and I'm confident that I'm gonna get a revised as-built from them. So that's why I figured I'd bring it before you right now. So everything checks out, everything's good. I will be receiving a revised as-built for record, and that should cover it.
How much is the bond?
Bond is $12,500.
You got the lease or all, is that what?
Yeah, release the whole thing, correct.
Okay.
That was 4 years ago.
Was it 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
Okay. So that's the only bonds that you have, right?
That's it.
Okay. We got a change of use on 356 Old Maple Avenue. Is someone here to speak for that?
How are you all? Good.
Okay. Hello.
I don't know how difficult this is gonna be. I also don't really know exactly what I need to do. Usually when I need help, I ask for guidance and people give it to me. So I asked Alan. Alan's been my tutor in the world of going to the town for permits. I learned my lesson with opening up the lab last year, or 2 years ago, sorry. And I had to go through a lot with you guys. This one's not so difficult, or at least I don't think it is. So in the past 2 years, we've grown. We've already filled up our 25,000 square feet, and we need to start painting our own parts. So, I mean, I don't know what you guys have in front of you. Do you guys have anything in front of you? We submitted, that's it?
Just to change your use sheet.
Okay, alright, so I just wanna give a little bit of a background so you guys understand what's going on. We do automotive customization, and currently, the only thing that actually happens inside our building is the disassembly of the vehicles. And anytime that a customer wants to paint some parts in their vehicle, we send them to a painter. And working with these painters is nothing but a hassle. So for a long time, even before I had this building in North Haven, I've been wanting to have my own paint facility. We want to take 356 Old Maple Ave and put a paint booth in it and use it just for painting these parts. So I went to go look at the property. I was like, I might just, put put a paint booth in here, and then I was like, you know what, I should probably go to the town first, because last time I got a stop work order. So it is fun, but listen, what we wanna do is we wanna put a paint booth in here. It's a very,
The North Haven line will be closing in 15 minutes. Please begin to make your final selections and bring them to the circulation desk for checkout.
so we wanna put a high-end paint booth in here that comes custom made. It comes in a couple crates, and then you assemble it, you set up all the ventilation, and it's gonna be properly done in this whole entire building. It's like 3,500 square feet. The whole entire building is strictly for this paint booth. Now, if you were to look at the building, which you don't have, I do drawings, and I don't know if you guys care to see any of this, but I did a floor plan. So it has a warehouse space, which is only about 1,500 square feet. That's where the paint booth would go. And then the inside of the building, it seems like it was a house at some point. There's probably 5 rooms in there. I would use one as storage, another one I would do a photo booth because we sell apparel as well. We'll do some photo shoots. So none of that needs any town stuff. The paint booth is really the only issue that I see. And Alan had said that, if it was an auto body shop and we were gonna be doing collision repair and painting full vehicles, it would need a lot more than just a change of use. I don't know exactly what I need to do, so that's why I'm here. He told me to come here. I need you guys to tell me what I need to do.
You're gonna be painting cars in there?
No,
No cars?
just parts.
Sure.
The booth's too small for our cars. But you could fit a smart car.
You're gonna be blasting them, sanding them, or
Sanding,
Sanding
no
parts?
blasting.
So you have a-
Scuffing and sanding.
Will no be blasting or anything
No
like
be
that?
blasting, no.
All right.
I've got no comments.
Any questions?
Excuse me, please, can I just have?
Carrie?
Giovanni Fusiello.
Kieran?
No, Giovanni. Last name.
On the site plan?
P as in Peter, ETRUZZIELLO.
Okay.
I have a question. Just to give me an idea, what is this, what's the layout of the building? Is it like a garage or is it
It looks like
retail
a
or?
single floor home when you're looking at it from the front, which is interesting because it's in an industrial. You guys know Old Maple Ave, where the Nelco? I think it's there's the gas station right there. Then there's Nelco.
Oh, it goes down like past the.
I grew up in
G&H.
I've never been down that street. It's a dead end. It's really rugged, but it looks like a house built in the 50s, and then it's got a garage in the back. The only way I could really explain it is just a single floor home. Doesn't look like there would be a garage space in there, but it's on the back side. You drive around.
You want to first, go ahead.
So the work that would be done is in the garage or is it
In the
gonna be like
garage
the whole
space.
building?
Just in the garage space.
Okay.
It would be one employee run. Wouldn't be there full time either. We would set them down only when we have work. So I mean, our need for it is purely enough to sign a lease on a building. It's just something that we need to do and we don't have the space for in our building. And we needed to build a property that's dirty. This property's dirty. Like it's a piece of, I'm sorry, it's not a good spot.
Will it get worse from the paint though, or is that gonna be
It'll work,
contained
yeah.
within?
All that matters is the paint booth. Where the paint booth is doesn't matter.
Okay.
We're desperate.
Paint's gonna stay inside the building.
Inside
right?
the booth, yeah.
Inside the booth, okay.
How many employees you got there?
Inside the main location, 25.
No.
In this building,
Yeah,
it would just be one.
one person? Only.
Yeah, just one. And we would only send them down there just for the paint.
How about outside storage?
No outside storage.
Zero.
We're not painting cars. So no storage. Just taking parts there. We have a box truck. We put the parts in. Anytime we need to paint, bring them there, paint them. They'll stay there for a few days. Go pick them up with the box truck, bring them back to our building on Universal.
Do you have any concept of a site plan or anything?
I mean, I have hand drawings that they would pencil if you want to see them.
Unless you have copies for everyone, I think we're good.
Yeah, I didn't come prepared. Like I said, Alan told me to come to the thing again.
It's not a site plan approval, so you don't really
Right,
need that necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what exactly am I here for? Change of use, right?
Change of use.
You're here for change of use.
Yeah, I had to do that for the lab because the lab was a gym.
Well,
It was a gym before it was now an automotive shop. That was fun.
I mean, we're
This
familiar,
one,
we're
The
familiar.
lab
with
was
it.
also a site plan because you're
Yeah,
doing
that
stuff
was-
outside too,
that
so,
was-
and in this case, you're not doing anything outside.
So this is just change of use.
It surely sounds like a sofa.
What is the use currently? Does anyone know?
There, I couldn't tell you.
According to
Okay,
your
you're-
form, it was, generator sale and
Yes, yeah,
repairs.
but that's a use?
Yeah, that's you, so that would be like service and, I think they did some ancillary retail sales of their units, but
And this is only for your operation too? You're
Only
not gonna,
for us,
like- Okay.
So the shop that's gonna be working about 1,500 feet?
The actual working space for the paint booth, where the paint booth will sit, is 1,500 square feet.
So
The
what's
whole
the total?
building's 3,500.
35.
So more office than shop space. It's tough to find a dirty property.
Okay. Good enough. Anybody else? Laura?
Listen, man, while you got me, ask me anything you want.
Commission?
I'm good.
Everybody's
No
good?
other questions.
Okay. Okay, thanks so much.
I gotta wait till the end, right?
If you wanna hear what
We'll
happens,
deliberate,
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, 55 Middletown Avenue.
How are you guys?
No.
My name is Crystal, and this is our first time in the town, and like the gentleman said, same thing, we have no clue what we're going to do at first, so I think the town sent us to here first and to talk about our change of zoning use. So we are doing body massage business, like facial, foot reflexology, body works, and so this is a open floor in the office right now. So the landlord has his own construction team. So there's looks like 2 units right now, but it's a wall, but it's not the main wall. I'm assuming, you know, because he said he's going to remove that, so it will be totally open floor, and we're going to have some compartments in it. So now just putting it separate. It's not a room because there's no, you know, it's not a. I mean, it's not a room. You know, it's just a little like space for, you know, different, you know.
Like a high cubicle?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. So we won't touch any waters or no electronics, anything. So yeah, just pretty much that's it.
How many people do you have? How many people do you have there at a time?
You know, probably we can do at the beginning probably 2 or 3 people.
2 or 3?
Yeah.
And then so as it goes along, you expect to expand? Or?
Yeah, so we're going to have more people working, you know, because if at the beginning, we're gonna just put 2 or 3 people working right there. So there's one time we're gonna just have 2 or 3 customers in one time, yeah.
Okay, so how many people will be actually doing whatever you do?
You mean working
Yes,
right there?
working, yeah.
2,
Just 2?
yeah, at the beginning.
And then you'll expand upon that as time goes by, I presume?
Maybe 3 or 4, it depends on how the business going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Maybe 5, yeah, I hope, you know, 5 or 6 and more as I can, but, you know, it depends on the business,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
do you, have hours of operation that you?
Yeah, we're assuming starting like 9:30 to maybe 8:30 or 9 o'clock. It's 7 days a week.
9:30 a.m. till 9 p.m.?
Yeah, or maybe 8:30? Yeah, maybe 9:30 to 8:30 p.m., yeah.
8:30?
So, Krista.
Yeah.
May I have the last name?
Yes, CHEN, Chen. Yeah.
I'm Krista.
Crystal, C-O-S-T,
I don't
You're-
assume anything. Yes. Thank you so much.
Does the landlord have a site plan for this property?
Yes, he sent me like this, I didn't have a chance to upload yet, so this will be our store right here.
You wanna give that to,
Yeah,
hand it to Laura?
That looks like a floor plan, that.
Yeah, take a look at it, Laura.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
It's a floor plan.
The floor plan?
Yeah.
So these gas meters that are shown here are outside of the building, right? They're all
Yes,
outside.
uh-huh.
So it's showing the side yard a little, but there's no, you wanna take a look, there's no,
No site plan there?
no
No,
site.
he didn't send it to me, yeah.
Do you think the landlord has a site plan?
I think so,
he
Yeah,
should have
we're
it.
gonna want one.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Ron,
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Ken?
Not at the moment.
I'm sorry?
No, not at the moment, no.
Okay. Sure.
Not right now.
Laura asked mine, so we're good.
Hmm?
I was gonna ask the same operation hours.
I do have one more question.
Yeah, by all means, Laura, go ahead.
On the form, so you're Crystal?
Yeah.
Who is Sue Yan?
That.
So she's the, so she
One
would be
second.
the,
Then speak to me.
okay.
Thank you.
So she's the leasing?
Yes.
All right, so she's fine,
She's-
and you guys are like the managers, you're the
She's my
managers?
cousin.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, Helen. Yeah. Last name W-A-N-G-Y.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions? Nobody? Okay, ladies,
No.
thank you very much.
All right,
I want to talk about the site plan during deliberation because
Sure.
if the landlord's got a site plan, excuse me, they bring it into town there so,
Okay.
so we can get this thing going for you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I'm
Thank
actually
you.
George Bill. Thought I looked this one up, but I didn't.
Okay, now we are to. Yeah, we gotta go. Got a motion to go in deliberation?
I'll make a motion to go into deliberations.
I'll second that.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Very good. First thing we got up here is P 25-11. It's a text amendment that we talked about last month. Up on Longview Road. That is the first thing on the deliberation. Okay, gentlemen, do you want to talk about this at all, or have you looked at what we had to talk about last month?
You want me to start?
Yeah, you can go ahead and start.
Yeah,
Whatever you got to say, say it.
last month, we had a lot of people here last month. There were, I think, 45 people who weren't really in favor of it. And that regulation, 2.1.1.5 that we have, has a lot of, I guess, subsections to it. And one of the attorneys who was here, Tim Lee, was talking about those subsections, and he said maybe some of them weren't really doing us any good. And I looked at those, and I'm looking at this amendment too, and this is my opinion, and, you know, as a commissioner, and I think when people make amendments like this for residential areas, it's not to go into a cul-de-sac and rip a house out of a cul-de-sac and say, okay, you're gonna be a hospital, or you're gonna be an asylum. It's not, I don't view it as that way. I view it as if there's acreage in a residential area, you can put a school there, you can put a hospital there. That's the way I see some of these things. And of course, does this particularly fit the fabric of the neighborhood? I don't think it does at all either, but I'm not gonna get into that. I just wanted to get more on the scale of the regulation itself. So
Okay.
that's my 2 cents, basically.
Mark?
Well, I kind of mimic what he says, you know, to make this regulation, taking the actual address out of the equation, it would just open us up in too many areas for something that most neighborhoods would not be able to handle. So, I just think the amendment doesn't carry enough weight to,
Okay.
make those changes within our town.
No. Carrie?
I agree.
I'm sorry?
I said I agree. I think it's
You agree with Mark?
global.
All of them? Okay. Ken?
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly about it that we shouldn't do it, and I'd make a motion that we deny it.
I'll make a motion. Right.
Another thing that I was struck that Tim Lee said, the attorney, was that when we're doing this, what we're doing now, we're considering an ordinance amendment, which which is different from considering, you know, special permit or site plan application where we're looking at, you know, how it lines up with the zoning ordinance and what's permitted and whatnot and whether it's appropriate. This is actually changing the zoning ordinance itself. So we're sitting in legislative capacity. And so what we're doing is we're trying to figure out what is the best thing for the town. And I don't think that this, the way it's drafted, is the best. Something like this that is, you know, would go in any residential zone. I think we need to be a little bit more precise or surgical about it if something like this was going to be considered. And so I think it's not, this application or proposed text amendment is not the best for the town as it's drafted.
Okay, good enough, Rod, thank you. Well, you know, I agree with, certainly, with the total commission. I didn't think much of it when I was hearing it, but listening to the people that was in opposition to this thing last month and what they had to say, there's a lot to it. So I would propose to make a motion to deny this amendment. It is inconsistent with the zoning scheme of those areas that it would affect.
I'll second it.
Okay, you can make the motion. I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny the
Okay,
application.
makes a motion with, that's the reason. You got that? Okay.
Yeah.
I got a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it carries. Okay,
Excuse me, Vern. So, who do we have sitting on this? We have.
it'd be Brian, it'd be, not these two.
We're
Right.
not sitting tonight.
It'd be Brian, Carrie,
All right,
you were
so
here?
5-0. Thank you.
You were here.
I was here.
Yeah, okay, good enough. That's the commission.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that being said, we gotta move to, the next one down is 70 Universal Drive. It is the site plan, that we're talking about right now. I get a motion to approve the site plan
I'll make a
As it
motion
was-
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan as it was presented.
as it was presented, certainly. And can I get a motion? Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now I'd like to get a motion to approve the CAM.
I'll move to approve the CAM.
Okay, can I get a second for the CAM?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good enough. Okay. This one here is, no, it's going
That
down.
was Rod on the second.
Yes.
Okay, okay, now we're gonna talk about the 824, the referral on the, what Jennifer and Joe Porto had to say in respect to the referral, the 824. What do you think about that, Brian?
I would make a positive referral for that. I think we're gonna find out a lot about the site plan when that comes about, and we'll be able to have our 2 cents there. I thought Andy's question was really good, and we're kinda looking at something.
What do you
we
think?
have to do. But, I think,
Well, I don't know about that, but, okay.
Yeah.
You're thinking it's okay the way it is?
I think it's okay the way it is, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I kind of agree with him. We still appear to have other options down the road. This is just a starting point, like you said, with their proposal, units and stuff. I'm hesitant maybe when we get to the site plan, but we can't think that far ahead because that's not presented yet. So
Well, I have a problem with giving up 16 parking places for the very bare minimum of 16 parking places for that size of that development. You got commercial on the first floor, and you got,
that's
you
something we
got
can-
seniors on the second and third.
I
I think it's pretty tight. I think
Oh,
it's
and
not
I agree.
very
That's why I said
fair.
we're gonna have to address this more clearly, but we're never gonna get there if we don't.
Well, let them bring us in, let us bring in something to look at.
Right. But the final, the final
Let's
agreement.
hear
is-
Andy and see what he's got.
The final agreement will not be signed until you guys act on the site plan application. So, so I
So
think
I-
what we're talking about here is concepts. In other words, is the town okay, is the Planning and Zoning Commission okay with allowing a certain number of parking spaces to be dedicated specifically to this use. That's really what it kind of comes down to.
And that's the way I.
And then, and then when the final site plan comes in, you'll have another opportunity to review that
well, hang on a
and to
second.
potentially, change it if you need.
It's a special permit though, too, right?
Yes, it
aren't
is.
we-
It
'cause
will
we're-
be, yeah.
we're- For the mixed use. So I guess part of the problem I'm having here is we don't know what the commercial, what's gonna be on the commercial floors or whatever. And if that's something that draws in a lot more vehicles, because it's super popular, I don't know what that's gonna do with the parking. And maybe we'll never know. I'm kind of struggling with that, I don't know. Maybe we'll get more context when we hear that.
Yeah,
Well, it's
but the
really
bottom line
application.
really is that the parking spaces to be dedicated specifically to the residential use.
Yeah.
How the commercial's gonna work in, I mean, we can certainly talk about that when that application comes in. But I think what they're looking for really is the concept of making some of those spaces dedicated specifically to that use. Because without that, they don't have a project. So
Right,
that's
without that, they
right
don't-
now, there's 28 spaces there for that building,
Right.
in that lot. And we're saying for the people who are gonna rent there, we're gonna give them 16. Okay, and so that's gonna leave 12 for.
12 left.
And I think that was the understanding of the selectmen when they sent
gonna
it
be
here.
16
And I
units.
think that's
They
what
give
they're
them-
looking for feedback from you
Yeah.
guys is,
I've been to soccer games where I have to park over there because it's full here. So having only 12 makes, well, okay,
that's all the regulations require though,
That's right.
for that residential use, is 12 spaces.
I frankly don't think it's enough, but good enough.
So with 12, in addition to 12 retail, essentially we're gonna have plus 16 residential, we're looking to dedicate if they have 28
No.
total now.
No, the only thing that's gonna be
They're getting
dedicated is
16.
the residential.
The
That's it.
residential, that's it.
The commercial is gonna be free to park wherever they park.
And when we see the site
Commercial has
plan,
nothing
I
to do
mean,
with it, Ken.
the tenant would have to make the decision whether they feel their customers are, if, as long as they meet the zoning requirements when the plan comes in for the retail space, the tenant's gonna have to make the decision whether they thinks his customers are gonna have enough parking or not. I just, I like the idea of the apartments there. I think the building's underutilized. And it's a decent location, so I think we should at least get it to a site plan and then work
Well,
on
the
it harder
apart,
then.
Mark, the apartments there's a good idea. But the fact of the matter is, to give them apartments with no place to park, a very minimal place to park, isn't a good idea for the owner, for the tenants, or whatever they're gonna be. They're gonna rent it. It's gonna be a hardship on everybody if somebody has a visitor, they have no place to park.
And
I think
visitors
we
are
should-
something that can get addressed as part of that site plan application.
Right,
when that
yeah,
comes in.
of course, I can do it. I think they should be known now that certain,
Yeah, because
the commission is not happy with it, but it sounds like the commission is.
I'd like to see the draft of what is going to be. If there's something that's already been conceptually put together, I would definitely want to see that. And definitely that land, there's no, as much as we're talking about the site plan, there's really not a lot of flexibility in the way it's set up. It's really constricted. It's really going to be take it or leave it when we get down to it. At least the way I see it, unless there's some engineering magic, I don't know how to.
Parking garage.
Just so I'm clear on it,
I can't hear you, Karen.
just so I'm clear, they can propose this change, but unless we approve a site plan when they come in with a site plan, there's no change.
Right, nothing's
I know, but-
finalized until that.
So
Right.
we're just
I just don't
opening
wanna
the
send a
door
message
to
that-
look at a
that-
site plan.
That you're happy, if you're happy with 16 parking places, that, give them the green light.
Well, I think when they bring the site plan in, then we'll be able
Well,
to.
the 16 is here tonight.
And
Well-
we've seen this. We've seen a good format of their original application, which they thus withdrew, right?
We can give it a positive referral, if you'd like.
I'll make a motion for a positive
Hold
referral.
on a second.
I don't
Well,
need
it's
any
got
more.
to move something.
I don't need
No, I'm good.
questions.
Oh, sorry, I didn't
No,
know you were
no,
still
it's
thinking
okay.
about it.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Okay, what are you thinking about? Kara? Kara?
Oh, I said I would make a motion for a positive referral.
Okay. She makes a motion for positive referral.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have motion and a second, and we have all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Two opposed. Okay, motion carries. Two opposed. Okay. Now,
Ms. Ken and Rod opposed.
No, I didn't.
No. Rod did not oppose. Vernon, aye.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
okay, I can't back up off of that, I started the whole thing. Well, you know, they said Alan started, I started this thing. Okay, I'd like to appoint Andy Bellavacqua to Assistant CEO for North Haven.
It's a promotion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your confidence in.
I do have confidence in you.
You got a
Okay.
uniform too.
Okay, can I get a second to make that motion now?
I'll second it.
Okay, I make the motion, he seconded it. All in favor of doing this?
Aye.
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 Okay, Andy, congratulations.
Thank you.
Told you shouldn't have shown up tonight.
Okay. Now we have 356 Maple Avenue. You know, he presented it, the lab presented it over here. We know what we got with the lab. And they said they're gonna paint down there, parts. And I make a motion, I'd like to get a motion to approve this as they presented it with just, with parts and parts and one employee with no outside storage or whatever else, the way he presented it to it. Okay,
I'll second that.
no, make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, I got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen?
So if you decide to make any changes
Okay,
to the outside of
55
the building or the property, come back and visit us.
55 Middletown Avenue. They're gonna come back with a site plan for whatever they're doing there and present it to Laura, I guess. She'll present it to you to take a look at it to see if they can get back in here and we can take a look at the site plan, you know, if they have it. Okay,
So is that the motion that? they
I'm gonna
need
make
a
it,
site
I'm
plan?
gonna look for a motion right now. Look for a motion for just what I said. They deny it at the moment until she comes in with the site plan.
I'll second that.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny it based upon the way it was presented.
Anybody? Second a motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
I oppose.
you opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, why would you be opposed?
I don't see why we need to do that, but no, it's okay, it's one vote.
Well, I'd like, well, let's see the site plan, that's all. Okay, good enough.
We didn't ask them for one.
I'm sorry?
Nothing, sorry.
Wait a minute. Okay, where are we here down to this? Okay, Andy? Okay, can a motion to release the bond on 600 Universal Drive, Panera Bread at 2,500?
I'll make the motion to.
No, 12,500.
Wait, can I say something before I make a motion? I'm loath to vote to release bonds when they haven't done everything that they're gonna do, and you're asking them for as-built drawings, and you're confident that you're gonna get them, right?
Yes.
Because I remember there was something about this application, the applicant, that gave me pause, but if you're confident, then that's, during the whole course of it, it's fine.
Yeah.
But as long as you're confident, I
Yeah,
just want to
yeah,
get that
yeah.
reassurance, okay?
You good?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay,
No drawings, no check.
so we're gonna, do we have a motion yet?
I just made a motion to.
Okay,
approve.
I got a motion, got a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The bond goes. Now, is there anything else to come before the commission? Okay, can I get a motion to
Minutes.
approve the minutes to June 2nd, 2025?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 2025.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. And anything else?
Just a matter of housekeeping, if I'm not mistaken, next month's meeting is in the rec center, as per usual in August. I just thought I'd remind everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good enough.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.